Movement. It's what brings our films to life. It could reveal characters or landscapes. It could add chaos or stillness to a shot. It could show us different perspectives and put us right into a moment. It could feel jittery and shaky, or it could feel calm and smooth. Today we're going to break down 10 camera movements, what they mean, and how to achieve them. One of my favorite movements on this list is something called a push-in shot. And there are many different ways to achieve a push-in shot. You could use a slider, a gimbal, but most of the time in Hollywood, they use something called a Steadicam or a dolly. Now, a push-in shot does exactly what it sounds like. It pushes the camera towards a subject or a scene, giving it significance that draws your viewers in and makes them start to pay attention to what's happening. The push-in shot can give a feeling of drama, suspense, or uneasiness, but it also could be used to showcase triumph or even to wrap up a scene. Now, our second shot is something called a pull-out shot. Now, instead of pushing towards the subject, the pull-out shot is used to push away from the subject. This is a great way to reveal the location that your subject is in. And the pull-out shot could also be a great way to reveal characters in your scene. And a big difference between the push-in and the pull-out shot is the way the pull-out shot makes you feel disconnected from the character, making the character feel a little bit more isolated and alone. Now, we talked about moving the camera forward and backward, but there's another very important camera movement, and that is on the vertical axis, something called the tilt up and the tilt down. And to achieve this shot is very simple. You could simply put this on a tripod and use the tilt function to be able to move it up and down. And even if you don't have a tripod and you're just going handheld, you could actually just move the camera up by tilting it up, and then you could easily tilt that camera down. It's very effective and one of the most simpler shots on this list. Now, when you tilt the camera up or down, this is a great way to reveal a subject, object, or even a vast landscape. Tilting the camera up to reveal a subject can make them feel powerful and dominant in a scene. But if you tilt the camera looking down at a subject, you can start to make them feel insignificant or small. Now, a very important shot used in Hollywood over and over again is something called a tracking shot. This is a shot that really immerses your audience and brings them into the journey of whatever your subject or object we're following in the frame. And there are many ways to achieve a tracking shot, but typically in Hollywood, they either use a gimbal or a Steadicam just because the person being able to track them can go through the environment with them and be able to move the camera up and down and around as they're going through. Now, when the camera follows a character not in front of or behind them, but on the side of them, this is something called a trucking shot. And trucking shots are great for not only tracking your subject, but showcasing the world that they're walking through. And the other cool thing about a trucking shot is it kind of leads the way as the character is going, and you're kind of finding out the information the same time that they are, which is pretty cool. The Revenant does a great job at tracking and trucking characters through the scene, really immersing the audience into this battle. Now, if you want to get some camera movement without actually moving the camera, then you could try something called a zoom shot. Now, the thing about zoom shots is that they give camera movement that are extremely unique and that we're not really used to seeing. We're used to seeing, things move away and towards you all the time. That's normal life. But when you're actually changing the perspective and the focal length as you come into a character, that's when things start to feel a little bit off. Now, if you zoom into a subject or an object really fast, this is something called a crash zoom. And the absolute king of crash zooms is a director by the name of Quentin Tarantino. This has become a very stylistic look that he's actually known for. To me, when I see crash zooms, it's almost like something very playful and kind of fun about them. And they're great for giving anticipation or giving this quick, fast movement to scenes without having to actually move the camera in and out. If you look at a movie like Kill Bill or Django kind of uses them as a stylistic way to almost show comedy, whereas, Kill Bill uses it as kind of a stylistic way to show something intense that's happening. Now, one of the most interesting shots on this list is something called a dolly zoom. When you push out and zoom in, or when you push in and zoom out, this is called a dolly zoom. This shot was made famous by two different films. A film called Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock a very long time ago, and then another iconic dolly zoom shot is from Jaws. And in Jaws, it's used to showcase this panic, fear, and kind of terror that this character is coming to a realization to. What's cool about the dolly zoom is that it has such a unique look. Because you're pushing in or pushing out while you're zooming forward or zooming out, it really gives this kind of weird vertigo look where the background either shrinks or gets larger, and the subject that it's focused on stays the same. It's really a great way to show an internal conflict or something extremely dramatic happening in a scene. If you guys want to get inspiration for your next film project, you got to check out Film Vibes. Now, Film Vibes is a company that me and my partner started in hopes to create as many assets as we possibly could for filmmakers to create pitch decks, mood boards, storyboards, and of course treatments for your films. But on top of all of that, what makes Film Vibes extremely unique is the ability to actually use GIFs and MP4s. Instead of a site like ShotDeck and FrameSet just using still frames, you could actually go through, scrub through an entire video, pick out the best clip that showcases camera movement, and actually put that piece of camera movement in your pitch deck and storyboard to use as a GIF or, like I said, an MP4. So if you guys are looking to sign up for one of our pro accounts, I'll leave a discount code down below, 20% off. And even if you guys don't want to sign up for the pro plan, go through the site, browse around, and gain as much inspiration as you possibly could, because we are using a million different assets from thousands of directors and cinematographers. Now, the next shot on the list is one of my favorite shots, and this is something called an orbit shot. This is where you pan around your subject as they stand still or move towards something. And the orbit shot is fantastic for showing a 360-degree view of the world that your characters are in and how they're interacting with that world. Now, typically, this shot is achieved by using something like a gimbal or a Steadicam or even a circular dolly track. A director that used this shot over and over again in a ton of their films in the early 2000s was a director called Michael Bay. He would take this orbit shot, man, and he would show these awesome, beautiful sunset hero shots of his main characters. And this was known as like the hero shot. Like when you thought of the hero shot, you thought of that orbit shot going around the main character, making you feel like this slow motion epicness that honestly, unfortunately got way overplayed in the early 2000s. But Michael Bay, man, I mean, like, he really killed it with the orbit shot. Like, it was iconic, and in my opinion, I loved it, dude. Every time he did it in like movies like Pearl Harbor or Transformers, it gave me that feeling, you know what I mean? But yeah, the orbit shot in conjunction with slow motion is choice for a hero shot. Now, the last shot that we're going to discuss on this list that's a very unorthodox camera movement is something called the camera roll. And this is such a great way to showcase a really uneasy feeling that can make your audience feel like something twisted or something out of the ordinary is happening. Taking a look at this scene from Stranger Things, they do a camera roll to show you the alternate dimension that's happening underneath their current world, which in my opinion is genius to add this twisted nature of the shot. Now, camera movements are a ton of fun and you can really get creative with them. But just like I say in all of my videos, especially in this series, is that you have to think about what the script is saying and creatively what you're trying to do. And if you take a look at the script and there's a moment and a reason for the camera movement, that's when you're really going to create an artistic visual storytelling piece. And I promise you guys, if you really sit down and you think about why you're moving the camera, it's going to start to make a lot of sense, and it's actually going to start to, give a character to your film. The movement of the camera should also be a character in your film, and it should, portray a certain feeling that you're trying to give. So again, guys, food for thought. And if you guys want to learn more about filmmaking and cinematography, me and my team are putting together a course. If you guys are interested in checking that out, I'll leave a link right up here or down below. You guys can check that out. We hope to drop this course pretty soon, and you guys can sign up for the email list to be notified as soon as the course drops. So I want to thank you guys so much for stopping in, hanging out. My name is Alex Arfati, and I'll see you guys next week. Deuces.